Well, hey guys, this is Chad Joyce with Plum Real Estate, and today this is another edition of Foreclosure Friday, and we are in Aubrey, Texas. The house right behind me, this is 1207 Goldeneye in Aubrey, Texas. This is a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath home, 2,359 square feet, built in 2004. We are in the Paloma Creek subdivision. For those of you who are familiar with North Dallas here, we're on the north side of 380, which has about 900 homes, 900 lots. And then the south side of 380 has about 4,800 more lots. So this is a pretty big subdivision. Right down the road, this is a good location. You may be able to hear the traffic behind me a little bit. Right over here, that is where 380 is. But right over here, we do have, one of the North Paloma Creek HOA amenity centers. It's got pool, playgrounds, soccer fields, all sorts of stuff for families and for entertainment. The HOA dues here are $370 a year. Now, I am showing you this home, and technically we are doing Foreclosure Friday, but technically this isn't a foreclosure. This is actually a home that's owned by the U.S. Department of HUD. If you don't know how they get a hold of properties, what happens is when someone goes and buys a house with an FHA loan, that's a government insurance program insured by the U.S. Department of HUD. You're going to go through a normal lender like Bank of America, Chase, Rocket, Mr. Cooper, all those guys to get an FHA loan. If you foreclose on it, what happens is the servicer then will call HUD, because the FHA program is basically insurance. And if it gets foreclosed on, then they send it back to HUD, and HUD puts it on the market and sells it. So, a little bit different here. It's not technically a foreclosure, but this is still an as-is sale. They're not going to be doing anything on this property. In fact, they don't even turn the utilities on. So what you see is what you get. Now, FHA, the HUD program, they do have, and I'm using that interchangeably, but HUD does have 3 different classes of homes when they sell. It can be FHA insurable, which means in its current condition, you can get an FHA loan. That's why these are appealing. It's already been approved, the property's already been approved for FHA. You can also do insured with escrow, which means if you do whatever repairs they've got listed on there within, I believe it's 90 days after closing, you can get the FHA loan there. And then it's uninsurable, which means you can't get an FHA loan. You're going to have to do cash or conventional. These are usually reserved for things like foundation problems, plumbing issues, major roofing problems, things like that. So, it's kind of a quick overview. We'll go over the HUD program and some of the advantages later on, so make sure you stay tuned for the rest of the video. And also, this one is a really good potential deal for an owner-occupant. This house is only listed at $314,000. So let's go on in, let's have a look at it, and let's see what we find in there. All right, here we go. So brought the trusty flashlight, because like I said, HUD does not turn their power on, even no matter what. So, that's your government at work here. When you first walk in, we do have a formal living/dining area. You could use it as either one, or you could even use this as a study, honestly, if you want to. Uh-oh, you got an OJ glove. Guess they didn't finish off the trash out. The flooring in here is actually really nice. This is a faux tile that's in on the property. Nice little entryway. We got updated light fixtures. I'm not seeing any cracks. You can see right there. Oops. That's not going to let me. You can see right there we have a little bit of sheetrock damage, but nothing major. Let's see what we got over here. Here's our laundry room. You guys get to see these things just like I do. Basic little laundry room. There's a security system. Let's see what we got in the garage. Whew. Yeah. Like I said, they do not turn the heat on or utilities on, and it is hot in here. You can only imagine, I mean, it's been 100 degrees here in Texas, so all that heat's been sitting in that building. Do have a sprinkler system. They do have the property winterized right here, so I'm not going to open that up. We do have a hot water heater. Let's see if we can see any information on this one. You can see right there, there's all the, there's the model number. I don't see, and there's a serial number also. I don't see the date of construction, but this appears to be an original one. The house was built in 2004, so that would coincide with the home. And remember, HUD homes are sold as is. They're not going to do any repairs. You are allowed to do an inspection. You can get the utilities turned on. You got to turn them on in your name. But you can do an inspection, but it's for informational purposes only. HUD's not going to renegotiate your contract. You can either cancel it or close. So here's the half bathroom. They got a cool little backsplash behind here. I guess if you know, you have a hard time going to the bathroom, you pee on the wall or something. But it looks good, right? Got a good closet here. Here's our main living area. I'm not noticing any major issues right now. Looks like this, the fireplace here has been updated. This appears to be, yeah, there's no line down here. So this is a wood burning fireplace. But got a new stone fireplace, and for some reason that, you know, this is tiled. I wouldn't have done that. That looks kind of odd. We do have one crack right there, and that's a diagonal one, so that's something definitely want to have someone come out and look at. Here is your kitchen. Looks like we got updated quartz type countertops, backsplash. Cabinets have been painted. These are probably the original cabinets. They did put on nice door hardware on them though. And they look to be in good shape. Oven's missing, but it is an electric connection, so that's just a plug and play. There's a nice microwave here. Yeah, that's a nice new microwave. Look at that, they have all these little cooking presets. I need to get this. That's pretty cool. All right. Kind of a kitchen island with the sink and dishwasher right there. There's our water connection for the refrigerator. And here's our pantry. Again, pretty standard stuff right now. Not really noticing any major issues. We do have the one crack, which for a 20-year-old home in Texas is not really that unusual. I'm going to adjust the camera down a little bit here. Okay, here's the primary. Semi-vaulted ceilings. You got one side that's vaulted, one side that doesn't drop back down. So you got tall ceilings. Looks like someone tried to get into the house. They broke the window screen here. No broken windows, but carpet's actually in good shape. You know, if you guys have watched the channel, you notice I've walked into some stinkers here lately. This one does not smell at all. Now we do have, I don't know if this is going to come out, but there is a little bit, you can see a little rectangle right there. It looks like there was a prior roof repair. Something leaked, or ceiling repair. Could be the roof, could be the AC. Here is the primary bathroom. 12 by 12 tile. This appears to be all original. Those original cabinets, countertops, basic mirror. You do have a separate shower and tub, which is nice considering so many homes now with new builds are not putting in any tubs. You guys can't smell this, but there's something going on here. That's not a good smell. It smells like someone used the toilet without the water on, which happens and is absolutely horrifically disgusting. Good walk-in closet, plenty of storage in there. Let's go check out the upstairs and see the rest of the house. All right, it's hotter up here. Gotta love HUD on the second story, so all the hot air comes up here. That little beep is the smoke detector. Batteries are out. Do have a game room when you come up, nice good size. Ceiling fan. Uh-oh, looks like you got a dead tree, or this house has a dead tree. 2 dead trees out there. You can see right there. There we go. There's one of them, and then you see a little one down on the ground. When we go out into the backyard, we'll have a closer look at that. Like I said, no problem with the carpets. I would just, steam clean them. A little bit of a crack right there. Let's see, there you go. You can see that. Nothing too bad. I mean, here's a bad one. So there's definitely some movement in the house. Be interesting when we get into the office to see if this one is insured with an escrow or what they say with it. So, secondary bedroom, no ceiling fan. This is always funny. I don't know why they do this, but builders would put the access to the attic in a bedroom, which always seemed weird to me. Don't walk too far over there, you'll fall right through. And it looks like I don't know what they kept up here, but that is some food for an animal. God knows what is in this attic with that food there. I hope they didn't keep their cat in there. Okay, let's keep on going. See what else we got. We've got 2 more bedrooms and a bathroom. Here's the bathroom. Looks like the cabinets are the originals, but they've been painted. They look good. Replaced the mirror, new light fixture. This flooring has been replaced, but it needs to be replaced again. If you can see, like it's got gaps in here and it's coming apart. So this, I wouldn't keep this. This is a small area, so it's pretty easy to replace. And this was laminate vinyl planking. I don't think it counted as luxury, but good size. Well, not really good size. You better not be tall because the ceiling's right there. You can see there's the ceiling coming right on the shower head. So this is definitely a bathroom for shorter people, but it is a full bathroom. You do have access to the living area, but this is the only bathroom upstairs. So, be aware of that. Here we go. We got another crack right in here. So there's some definite movement and it's going on the ceiling. Oh, man, I am sweating like crazy. Used to be an old saying, sweating more than a whore in church. But I hope my parents don't watch this. They're going to say something to me. That's a good sized bedroom right there, though. Nice little alcove. You can have a desk. Here's the last bedroom. Got green painted walls. I can't even really pull them up. So they're coming up pretty good on the camera though, so hopefully you guys can see them. Another alcove right here. And then, the closets. This one does have a ceiling fan. I don't know if the other one did or not. They did do some paneling on this house, on this wall, which is looking pretty nice. So overall, I think we got a pretty good, decent condition home. Let me see if we do have a ceiling fan at this other one. Yep, we do. So 2 of the 3 bedrooms upstairs have ceiling fans. So let's go on downstairs. Let's see what the backyard looks like and see what we can find out there. Well, that's not a good, oh, there it goes. Well, there's definite movement if you got to jerk on the door a couple of times like that. Whew. All right, I think it's actually cooler out here than it is in that house. Again, HUD doesn't do a lot of maintaining on these properties. If you have a pool, they'll cover it, they'll drain it. They don't do any landscaping, so you'll see stuff like this, dead plants, window screens that have fallen out, overrun, is out of control shrubs. Got another dead tree right here. I would definitely replace or cut that one out. Now here's something to be, aware of. When you start having things like this, you see this vine that's growing up here, and there's a reason, and you can see there's evidence of the vines, like all these little spots on this wall. That's where the other vines used to be attached to the side of the wall. You do not want that in Texas. That basically just gives termites an elevator up into your attic where they will go nuts. Had a client cancel a contract last month because we found termites all in the attic. And since homes are wood frame build, like, you just got to replace everything. And that's just expensive. See, we got the 2 AC units, and again, you got some vines there that you'll want to deal with. Here's where you can see a crack. Now, we're going to get over here. Now, see, when you see cracks coming in through here, you'll see mortar cracks like that, but look at this. This cut the brick. So that's a lot of, you can see right here, cut through the brick. That's a lot of stress on the home when it's cutting the brick like that. Not to say that it doesn't happen, because it does, but that is a lot of stress and definitely showing signs that you need to get a structural engineer out to your home. Let's go see what else we can find around here. Hopefully don't get bit by anything. I did wear long socks today. After the last one, I got eaten up by by chiggers. All right, so here's the back of the house. I'll zoom out a little bit. There you go. There's the whole back of the house. Now you can see right there, if you can see that little tiny, let's see if I can get my finger in there. See that little discoloration right there? That's from the AC unit. If you look straight above it, those are the overflow valves. So that AC unit has been dripping a lot, and you can see the wood rot that's underneath the windows, the windowsills there. There's a lot of water that's been coming out of there. So those AC units are clogged and probably need to be replaced. I would bet they're probably the original units. On the chimney, you do see some trim work that needs to be done there. No big deal. But I would definitely be very wary of the foundation and the AC system for this. And if you had to replace the whole AC system, you can get that done, depending on what you put in there, between $10,000 and $15,000. It's not a cheap, a cheap exercise. Looks like this other side of the house. Looks like it's all good here. Do have a nice covered patio, which was an add-on. You can see that it's extended. Love that. You got ceiling fans out here. Do be careful. Again, HUD doesn't take care of or manage really the outside that much. And you'll want to be careful walking into a lot of those, because you'll see things like right there. See a little hornet nest. They'll come down and they'll get you. So let's go on in. We'll go to the office, have a look at what the HUD program is and how you can buy a HUD property. Like I said before, it's a good deal for people if you can find the right house. So let's go on in, let's see, check that out, and then let's see if this will work for an investor or for an owner-occupant. All right, guys, we're back in the office here, and we're going to go over what we just saw at 1207 Goldeneye there in Aubrey. Now, we have not looked at a HUD home before, and like I explained in the intro, a HUD home is a property that is actually owned by the U.S. Department of HUD. So if you think any of your state rules apply to them, you might as well throw those out the windows. This is a cabinet-level government agency, and they pretty much write their own rules. Now, just like when we've had with VA properties, Fannie properties, Freddie properties, and other servicers, they all kind of do things differently. Well, HUD's no exception. Where you want to find all your information on HUD Homes is go to this website right here. It is hudhomestore.gov. You can see it highlighted right there. It'll bring up this little page for you. Now, most of this is not something that you're going to have to worry about, okay? NAID portal right there, that is for brokers. Don't need to worry about that as an agent, or sorry, as a buyer. Property contacts, we can look at that real quick. This should be the, well, I don't have the case number, so we'll have to look at that. But that will be like the listing agent, the preservation company, the property management company, the people who are actually taking care of the home. If you have a complaint, you can go there, find their information. You can blast them off an email. Have fun. I'm sure they get some interesting messages. Find agents. You can, if you want to find a selling agent, which is the listing agent, or if you want to buy a buyer, select closing agent. Selling agent is a buyer's agent, and the closing agent is, let's say, I want to find one here, close by. Oops. 75068. Nothing here. Let's look up Dallas. Looks like I gotta look it up by city. So this is all the approved closing agents that you can work with, and it'll bring up their contact information, their office address, escrow officer name, that escrow officer's contact information. So that's the closing agent. You can select that as the buyer. You don't have to use a specific title company, but they will have you, pull it from here. Selling broker and agent. Again, if you want to look up, for instance, just in Dallas, there's 672 brokers found. I'm on here. Funny thing is, it's still under my old brokerage, but I'm on here, and basically, if you've ever sold a HUD house, that agent's going to be on here. So, bid results. When you do a bid on a house, let's see if there are any bid results on Goldeneye. Sometimes they may put that out there. Nope. So here's one. It tells you that on this house, it was 11305 Autry Ridge Lane. The net to HUD was $263,203. That offer was submitted on the 15th, is accepted the next day, and it was an investor. So I'm just curious. Let's go see what that house was listed for. We'll come back to this because that's obviously our home. Let's see, what was our address again? 11305. Kind of give you an idea of what HUD is willing to accept in terms of what their ask price is. So, hey, this is pretty interesting. List price on this home, $285,000. Go over here, the net to HUD, $263,000. That's going to be pretty close to what they offered. So, probably the only thing that's added in there is an agent commission and maybe some closing costs, and that's it. So they probably offered, somewhere in the 270 to 274 range, somewhere in there. So you can see kind of what, an investor can get off on a property. So one thing that you will want to see when you pull up the HUDHomestore.gov website, you can look at all states. You just select your state. Obviously, we're in Texas. Look, it says there's 126 properties, and that's throughout the whole state. Montana has 0. New Hampshire has 0. None in Connecticut. Vermont. New Hampshire has 1. None in Vermont, none in Connecticut, none in Delaware, none in Montana, none in Hawaii. Alaska actually has some property. So if you ever want to just peruse, looks like, Texas, looks like we are kicking everyone's ass in terms of HUD foreclosures. We are the only one that I've seen so far that is over 100. Yikes. Yep, that's it. We got the most. So, what you can do, we come in here, we'll pull up Texas, we'll pull up a map. I can zoom on in here and we can get our house. It's right up here. You see it right there. So we'll click on it. View property details. Now this will give you a lot of interesting information. Here's the case number. That case number actually, whenever a borrower gets an FHA loan, it's assigned a case number at origination. So that follows the house and that loan throughout. So that's the case number for the house. Now here's what's interesting. It says it's open for all bidders. And you have 3 hours and 5 minutes remaining to bid. So they have a deadline of midnight tonight, Central Time, to put in a bid on the property. and they will open them up tomorrow morning. Here's where you got all the information. We talked about this is not a revitalization area, not an opportunity zone, not in a flood zone, not an airport zone, not in a historic district, and not a national register. Now, if you remember me talking at the house, there were 3 different types of, listing information periods for main periods. They've added a couple other ones that do some weird things, but with regards to financing, there's 3 different. There's FHA, which means it's just insured. There's what this one is, as you can see right here. This is insured with escrow, which means if you do certain repairs, you can get an FHA loan on this house. That is a huge bonus for a borrower. Doesn't really help investors, but if you are a homeowner and you want to get a lower down payment, you can get a 203K loan, which is right here. See, it's 203K eligible, which means you can finance your repairs. So you can buy the house. Let's say it was listed at $314. Say you buy it at $290 and you want to put $20,000 into it, but you don't have $20,000. You use that 203K loan to do that, and instead of your purchase price, the loan being based off $290, it's now based off of $310. You only have to bring in 3.5% down payment for that. Makes it much more affordable. You can hire out contractors and get it done. That's why if you are a first-time home buyer or a home buyer who has limited down payment funds, this is something you need to see. And honestly, a 2 or 3K loan, you can use it on any property, but it's really easy on HUD Homes. So that's that right there. Here's where it gets a little interesting. Now, what you want to look for when you see the, like I said, when you see this insured with escrow, you want to see what they're talking about. And that's right here with the property condition report. So we're going to download that, open it up. Yeah, you think you guys can see it. There you go. Yep. And you can see what the issues were. Now remember when we were in the backyard and I showed you all that wood rot on the back, coming down from the attic, and you saw the stain? Well, as you can see right here, HVAC is damaged. We saw that and we can see that. So that's confirmed. They do just an generator test, a little basic test, make sure everything turns on. The stove is, says the appliance is missing. We saw that. Now here's where it's also interesting. Plumbing is damaged. That's the information we get. So you're going to want to check that out. That could be anything. It could be just like little water leaks underneath the sink to a line somewhere. So you would want to inspect that. Now with the water heater, looks like they said the expansion tank is damaged. Like I said, looking at that water heater, that was probably the original water heater. That doesn't surprise me at all. Now here's where they do test the sewer and septic system, and it says that plumbing was functional. So this plumbing up here is probably, a minor issue. At least your sewer lines and the septic lines are taken care of. This could be, a main water line, clean water line, because you do have 2 lines coming into your house. You got the sewer line and the freshwater line. So this could be the freshwater line. And then they did a visual inspection of the roof, found nothing wrong with it. I've seen that comment on roofs that are halfway disintegrated. So, I can trust that about as far as we can throw it. If you want to get some other information, like here's a property listing disclosure. Again, I've already saved these because I looked at them before I started the video. But here's the property, disclosure. There's your repairs. So if you want to do insurable with HVAC, you need to repair insurable with escrow, you need to repair the HVAC, you need to fix the plumbing problems, and fix the water heater. You're probably talking, if you replace that whole HVAC system, $10,000 to $15,000. I don't know what the plumbing repair is. The hot water heater you could probably get replaced for $2,500. So you're looking just there $12,500 to $17,500. Notice how you don't need to have the stove replaced. FHA does not consider that necessary for a living space. So that's what you got there. That pretty much goes over the information on this property. Now, I was going to go over the timeline, so I went over here to HUD Home Store Help, and we're going to talk about this section right here. What are the listing periods? Okay, so first listing period, not every house goes through this, is a lottery. First, these are all uninsured homes, which means that there's too much damage that you can't get an FHA loan on them. Doesn't matter what you do to them, they're not going to give you FHA financing for it. So a lot of times those are going to go to investors or conventional loan programs. All uninsured homes start in the lottery period. The only ones that are insured that start a lottery period are in revitalization areas, and those are government designated areas. The next listing period that they're going to have is exclusive. Insured properties right here, it's a 15-day exclusive bidding period. That means they're going to be opening, they open their bids once a day. They don't open them throughout the day. So you have until midnight to get a bid turned in, and then it'll be open the next day. And they're only going to review owner occupants during that time. Now, if an uninsured property, which by the way, the Goldeneye property falls in here. So it already went through its 15-day period because it's in an open period. If you go back over here, you can see it's open for all bidders. So if you're uninsured and you make it through the lottery, then they do 5 days where it's exclusive. They have a 5-day exclusive period, and after those 5 days, they will open the offers. This is after the 15 days, they'll open the offers. So after that, it really does become every day they'll review all bidders. They will always give owner occupants priority. That doesn't mean an owner occupant has to net HUD a higher amount than an investor. An owner occupant could net them significantly lower. But so long as it meets their guidelines, they'll take that owner occupant offer over an investor offer, even if it's lower. So that's kind of a way for buyers to really even the odds. All right. So that kind of gives a little bit of information there. Like I said, if you want to go peruse around, get some nighttime reading, put yourself to bed, go to HUDhomestore.gov. And if you really want to get, technical, I think down here at the bottom, you could actually, you can go through all these questions, but you can go through HUD Help and they'll have all their programs and all their information on that, some more questions, so you can see there. All right, so that's that. So let's go ahead and let's just take a closer look at this property and kind of see if this thing would be good for an owner occupant, if it'd be good for an investor. Now, if you remember, I told you guys that there's about, we gotta get back to 1207 gold. There's about 5,700 lots in Paloma Creek. It's a big subdivision. All right, so it's a lot harder to comp, believe it or not, because certain areas will comp differently. Like the north side of this subdivision, they're older homes. It's going to comp differently than the southern side, especially when the southern side is much closer to the lake. Believe it or not, builders are still active in this community. When I pull up the comps, all right, and I'm going to take out the year built, and we're just looking at you can see over here, we're just looking at active, contingent, kick out, option, pending, or closed. Okay, looking at those properties, and the closed are only in the last 3 months. We're looking in Paloma Creek. Now, I did choose Aubrey and Little Elm because it does encompass both cities. So, just to make sure, we get that. And if you look down here at the bottom left, I'm circling it, there are 200 matches. I'm just curious how many of those are active. I wonder how many sales there have been. So I got 100 per page. So the first 100 listings are all active. So more than half of the homes in that subdivision are on the market available to buy. Looks like we're stopping right here at 129 for active. We've got 5 in some sort, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 in some sort of inspection period. And then we've got all of these, the pending ones. Remember, they're the ones that have gone through their inspections and they're trying to get title work done. They're getting HOA docs ordered. They're getting loan docs done, and they're getting ready for closing. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. We got 19 that are pending. That's actually pretty good. And then in the last 3 months, we basically have from 154 to 200 closed. So you're looking at 46 properties. So 19 pending, assuming that's going to be a monthly level, that's actually an increase. 54 divided by 3 is 18. So it's going to be, since there are 56 that have sold in the last 3 months, as an estimate. So about 19 a month have sold. So I guess it's right on target. So they're doing pretty consistent work. Like I said, there are still builders, believe it or not. And if I go up here, I can select builder as a seller, and look at, there's 16 that are still out there in some stage. Okay, but what I'm going to do, this house was built in 2004, so we're just going to consider homes built plus or minus 5 years. All right, and that gives us, see right here, 70. So let's go have a quick look at this, and we can kind of see, kind of where this house is valued. Let's go down to our close. Here's all our close from here to here. This one right here, this is a good comp. 1021 Goldeneye, 325. We'll check and see. That says owner of record, so we'll see what that is. And that's really the only 4-bed, 2 and we got this one on Mallory Creek, and that sold at 345. So we got those 2 homes. Let's go look and see what this one is. Painted the brick, new carpet. So I mean, you can kind of consider this a fair market property. It's hard to tell what that type of flooring is through these pictures. You can tell right here. Let me get that back up. I'm going to try to circle this. Right there, there's tags there, so those are new light fixtures that they put in. Can't tell if the house has been painted. Looks like we have basic countertops. Yeah, those are Formica countertops. Those are the original cabinets, no door handles, no door hardware. You can see, let's get rid of that. You can see kind of right in here, you got a little bit of rust, so there's some moisture that's been going in there. So the house isn't perfect. It's definitely a lived-in home. So I would say 325 is probably, the aftermarket value. Again, we're listed at 3. This house is listed at 314. Let me come over here to this. And again, if you've watched this before, you've seen my little spreadsheet that I've got here. I've got all the information up here. And I know the video said 2359. That's because HUD does their own appraisal on the property and they measure it, and that's what the measurements came up as. But I don't have access to that appraisal, so I won't be able to use it in the future. So I use the tax square footage of 2338 for this. I put in here our ARV of 325. And here's where I put our cost. HVAC 10,000, foundation 5,000. And cosmetics $10 a foot, since it was going to be very small cosmetic work, really, if anything. And that came out to be about $38,000. If you're going to flip it, what you try to do is you try to buy it at 70% of the after repair value minus repairs. So that's what kind of gets you down to this kind of silly number. But with my history and experience with HUD, what I've seen is I think if you're an owner-occupant, you have a good shot of getting this property around this price right here. Now, if you wanted to have them pay for closing costs, then you would have to roll that in. So if you wanted them to pay $10,000 in closing costs, offer 285, 200, and you could probably get, this offer accepted, $30,000 off the ask price, which is, I think, worthwhile. I did the rental comps as well. Same way. You can see, we're in Paloma Creek, Aubrey, Little Elm, plus or minus 5 years on construction, and those are the statuses that we're looking at. So pretty standard. Should be able to see it, and we got 56 matches. So one thing about Paloma Creek is it does have, and I'll go back and show it to you. Take this out. You got 178 homes. Again, 5,600 lots. 178 divided by 5,600. 3%. I mean, it seems like a lot, but it's really not that bad. I know there would be more rentals that aren't on the market, so take that into consideration as well. But here's where you got all your information on the leases. And so we're looking for, they don't split it up into half baths or full baths, so we're looking for a 4-3. And here's our floor plan right here. That one. And then this one. One of them was $2,395 and one was $2,800. So I'm going to go, let's see here. Let's go look at Shearwater first. They've got a 3-car garage. So you recognize this? Very similar. I mean, it is our floor plan that we looked at. So that's that one. I wonder why this one got so much more. Let's look. A little bit more open concept when you come in the front of the house. They arranged the fireplace a little differently. Similar condition. So you still got the Formica countertops over here. You can see right here it does not, well, it could be granite. It's hard to tell sometimes with these pictures. Basic, those are the original cabinets, no door hardware, ceiling fan, carpet up in the upstairs bedrooms. You can see they did not update the bathrooms. Can't really tell, but looks like they got a bigger tile down there, so maybe that was redone. Similar size. So this is a pretty similar property. Nice covered patio, nice backyard. And you can see their fence is falling apart. You see there too, there's an issue. So that whole panel over there needs to be, I'm kind of surprised they put these pictures out there, honestly. Big yard, so maybe that's why, oops, I don't want to do that. Let's just get out of there. That could be why. Let's see how big the lot is. 0.175, our lot's 0.1. So yeah, a little bit bigger lot. I don't really know if that really makes that much of a difference, but I went ahead and I said for the rent, I said $2,700 for that. So our taxes, let's go, I'm going to change that real quick. Oops, let's find our taxes here. And I am moving pretty quickly. I know it may be hard to keep up with me. I do this all the time. So let's see, our taxes on this one are right here, 6849. All right, so we'll go ahead and we'll plug that into our spreadsheet. I'm not going to bother with updating it down there. I don't think it takes it from there. Let me see. Yep, see, it's got it right there. So if we do, let me come back over here. If we're able to do the 2,700, you would have to leave $71,000 into the property. You make $300 a month. This would not be a bad, place to stick some money. You got a 5% cash on cash. Obviously, you want to get that a little bit higher. Not ideal, but you're at least making money and you're buying at a huge discount in an area that is just rapidly blowing up. If you are an owner occupant, again, I think this is something to look at. HUD does offer a lot of great programs, and they do have a very unique way of going through the purchase process. So it's very important to find an agent like me who does have experience in walking you through or walking buyers through that program. It's not a typical home buying process. Once we get past inspections and all that, it gets a little bit more typical, but there's a lot of weird little nuances that HUD does. But all that being said, I think, I guess we'll look at it here. Going out to Denton Housing, just kind of check and see. DentonHousingAuthority.com. You can go out here, you can click on forms, and then you can come down to right there. Find payment standards if you're a landlord. And for this one, 76227, it's right here. Their payment standard is $4,010. So, again, if you're a landlord, check into it. I don't think you're going to get that much, because I do think they do limit it to what market rents are. But vouchers are available to go up higher. So, that's one thing that housing authorities do for landlords, because a lot of those properties are going to lower income people that don't have the means to maintain them. So it does take a little bit more work from a landlord to maintain those properties. So it's definitely something to look at. Again, I like the property. The location's great. I think any party should be interested in looking at that one. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the tour today. I hope you learned something about HUD Homes and how you can go about buying them. There are a lot of advantages for that program, and there are a lot of them that are on the market and are coming on the market. We're expecting to see foreclosure rates rise, which would mean that we're going to see more HUD properties, we're going to see more VA properties, more Fannie properties, more Freddie properties, more conventional loans. All these properties, we're going to start seeing more opportunities like this, over the next 6 to 24 months. If you do have any questions, my contact information is below. Hey, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. We do this every week. We go check out properties. We give you some ideas of what's going on in the market. We do a little bit of teaching. We do a little bit of analyzation, kind of give some value to you, and love to have you guys keep watching the videos. Again, like I said, if you have any questions or want to talk about anything with real estate, if you got a home you want to list or buy, you just go ahead and reach out to me. Love to help you. Until next time, you guys have a good one, and we'll see you later.